So to begin with, I'm going to ask you guys to give me an equation of a circle. I'm going to give you guys the center and the radius, and I'm going to ask you to, with the given information, write the equation of the circle. My x value is 10, so I'm just going to write x minus 10 squared. To begin with, notice I switched the sign from a positive 10 to a minus 10. I see that the y value is negative 7, so I'm going to write y plus 7 squared. Notice I switched the sign on it as well. So I have two parentheses. In between them, I'm going to write a plus sign. And then I'm going to write this is equal to 36. The 36 because it's radius squared, right? The radius is 6. 6 squared gives me 36. That's it. That's my equation of my circle. Inside the parentheses, I switch the sign on the x and the y value. And then at the end, this is equal to radius squared. Let me do question number 2. To begin with, I'm going to go x plus 7 squared, y plus 4 squared. Notice I switched the signs on the x and the y value. I'm going to put a plus in between my parentheses, and this is equal to, I have to squared my radius. When it's a numbered and a radical, that was algebra 1. You guys were supposed to learn that. If it was just a 2, 2 squared, we know it's 4. If it was so 2 squared is 4. If it was a radical 7 only, the square root of 7 times the square root of 7, you know that gives you 7. Now, when they're combined, I'm just looking at 4 times 7, so I'm going to call this 28. I'm squaring the number on the outside. To make it easy, I square the number on the outside and multiply by the number on the inside. Right? 2 squared times 7 gave me 28. Yes. So this is how it will go. This is how it will be. Now, I know the typing, the squares, and all these things might be a little complicated. On the test or quizzes on Fridays, when it's on paper, you can easily write these, right? When it's on paper, you can easily write it. Now, in the homework, I'm going to put it as a multiple choice just because it's a little bit hard to type. So make sure you know how to write it, because on the homework, some of it will be multiple choice just because it's hard to type. Okay, any questions on these? So since we know how to do the formula, the equation of a circle, giving you the center and the radius, I'm going to do the same. I'm going to ask you guys to give me the equation of the circle. I'm giving you the centered and the radius in a graph. Just looking at this graph, the centered in this case is 0, 2. I can see the centered. Looking at the radius, if I was to move that, I was reflecting it on the x-axis, I'm going to say the radius is 1. So now that you have the centered and the radius, I'm just going to write, to begin with, let me write x minus 0 squared plus y minus 2 squared is equal to 1. Remember, at the end I do radius squared, but 1 squared is still 1. So notice I did x minus 0 squared, y minus 2 squared is equal to radius squared. Now, when we have inside a parenthesis, we have a minus 0, we simplify that as just x squared plus y minus 2 squared is equal to 1. When the value of the x or the y is 0, we're not going to write minus 0. We're just not going to write it. Looking at question number 4, looking at my graph, I can tell that the centered is negative 3, 2. Looking at the radius, if I reflect it on the x-axis, I'm going to say the radius is 2. So now that I know the centered, now that I know the radius, I'm going to say my equation will be x plus 3 squared plus y minus 2 squared is equal to 4. So again, on the right side will always be radius squared, yes. Any questions on these? Easy so far? Yeah. Okay. Now, the last part, I'm going to give you the equation of the circle, and I'm going to ask you guys to graph it. Once again, on the homework, you're not going to be able to graph. So it will be multiple choice on the homework, but on the quiz or test, you will have to graph it. Don't laugh at the circles if they look like eggs. Just give it the idea. So looking at this question, I'm going to say the center of my circle is going to be -2, 4. Right? That's the center. The radius is 3. Because notice how 9 was radius squared. So the square root of 9 is 3. So the radius is 3. So looking at the center, -2, 4, right? Center is right there. Now from the center, since the radius is 3, from the center, I'm going to go 3 up, 3 down, 3 to the right, 3 to the left. So from the center, let me go 3 up, 3 down, 3 to the right, 3 to the left. From the center, I went 3 each way. So kind of gives me an idea where the circle goes. And then I'm just going to graph my circle the best that I can. And that's it. I'm not going to grade you that it looks like an egg. Just be close, though. Don't be way off. What I mean way off is like, it's not a rectangle, right? It's close to a circle. I don't even know how to graph great circles that look like eggs, but be close to it. Looking at question 6, the centered is -2, -1. The radius is the square root of 10. When I type it in, it's roughly 3 point something, about 3.1, 3.2. It's a little more than 3. So I'm just going to say 3 point something. Now, I know the centered is -2, -1, right there. I have to go 3 and a little bit more each way. So when I go up, I'm going to go 3 and a little bit more. Now, you see how I'm not on 3, I'm a little bit past 3. How far off when it comes to the graph? Am I really going to grab a ruler? I'm going to say you were supposed to go 3.1 and you went 3.2? Not quite, right? I'm just looking at 3 and a little bit more. I'm just looking at you understood that it was a little more than 3. Now, from the center, let me go 3 and a little bit more to the bottom, 3 and a little bit more to the right, 3 and a little bit more to the left. And that's it. Once again, on the homework, it will be as a multiple choice because we cannot graph on the homework. But on the quiz and test, you will have to graph.